Morning, morning, and a very, very warm welcome after, for me, a huge summer break. Lee knows very well that I like to take the whole of the summer holidays off so that I can really concentrate that time for my kids. And it really has been a very long holiday, but great as well. So yes, I hope everyone else has had a fabulous summer holiday and are feeling rested. It for me, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because it is definitely I can't. I don't want to take 9 weeks off work. So there is a certain amount of juggling as well. So yeah, any comments about how you have dealt with summer, please do jot them into the comments. And we'll see how that you coped as well. So yes, so welcome back to our well, this is actually a monthly thing. Lee and we love to get together to talk about property and mindset. So for those of you who are new to this, who are new to us, so I'm Emma Howitt, Pure Abodes. And yeah, what do I do? So I help investors grow their wealth through property. And what I do is I build my own portfolio. So I buy rundown buildings. I also help investors grow their own investment pot or investment portfolio. And then I also mentor as well here in the UK, which is a little less sunny than usual. So for anyone who doesn't know Lee, I've known Lee for a very long time, and he has dramatically changed my life. And there are not many people in the world who I can say that about. So Lee, if for anyone who doesn't know you, would you like to just give an introduction to who you are, please?
Sure. Maybe before I go into the introduction, are you feeling rested? How are you feeling after your summer break?
I mean, I would never say that summer is rested for me, because it is a real juggle. But there's a lot of what I call doing lots of other things and we do lots of pony stuff, so lots of camping. And then at the end of the summer, we got away. So I feel invigorated or reinvigorated, not necessarily rested. That's
Okay, that makes sense. So the change of scenery has reinvigorated you, but there was a
exactly,
lot on the go.
exactly,
But
exactly.
sounds good. Sounds good, Emma. Sounds like you had a fun time.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You tuning in from wherever you are around the world. My name is Lee, and I think Emma alluded to it. I'm a mindset coach, a mindset mentor. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs remove money blocks and attract clients easily. And I work with entrepreneurs from all around the world, just like Emma. And yeah, I am based in South Africa. Emma?
Fantastic, fantastic. So, today we are talking around goals and paradigms. So, I know that for some people, paradigms will be completely a new word, and certainly in the realms of mindset. But what I really love, and one of the things that we wrote in the little advert about this, is about goals. And wow, this was one of the first things that you actually spoke to me about. And everyone talks about goals, let's be fair, don't they?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's just like you got to have goals, you got to have a bucket list, you got to have this,
Yeah,
you got to have
smart
that.
goals. Yeah,
Yeah, smart
yeah.
goals and maybe a whole wheel of goals. And you got to make sure that your goals are, spread across your life and all of this. So there's a lot already about goals. But when you started talking to me about goals, now that was really different. And the one thing that, and I wrote this down and shared this, is you put goals are really for us to grow, not to get. And that was explosive for me. Yeah, do you want to explain a little bit more about that, Lee?
Sure, Emma. A lot of people think um, or set goals to get material objects, so whether it's a new home or that trip or whatever it is. But in order to afford that trip, or in order to grow your business to a certain level, or your property portfolio to a certain level, there is growth involved there. You have to become a higher performer. You've got to become a new person. So essentially, goals are really for growth. You will get things along the journey, you will acquire things. But when you bring it right down to its bare basics, goals are really for us to grow.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And just as a reminder, guys, around the reason why Lee and I do these sessions is because you can have all the knowledge in the world. And I'm looking at a bookshelf of books. I've got, I mean, just got endless courses that I've been on. But what we end up doing is we can have as much knowledge in the world, but actually there's something that holds us back, and that is the mindset. So for me, it's all about mindset. I mean, I put it down to about 90% mindset. I don't know, I'm sure there is a number there. But that's why we're sort of talking about this element is the whole, if you want to be successful, you must on a daily basis work on your mindset. So yeah, absolutely love that. So yeah, so going back to yeah, for the goals then. So how do we go about this? You know, making these goals that help us grow rather than necessarily getting.
So there are three types of goals. We refer to them as A, B, and C. And an A type goal, and if you're writing, if you've got a pen and a notepad in front of you, you might want to jot these down. An A type goal is what you know how to do. So my mentor, the late and legendary Bob Proctor, used to tell a story. He said, one day he was conducting a seminar and a man came up to him at the break and said, can I please speak to you about my goals? And Bob said, sure, man, go ahead. And the guy said, I'd like to buy a new Pontiac. So Bob said, Pontiac's a nice car. I've had a Pontiac. So he asked the guy, what are you driving now? And the man says, a Pontiac. So he says, really? And he says, how old's the Pontiac? So the guy says, 4 years old. And he says, how long have you had it? The man says, 4 years. So Bob says to him, so what you've told me is that you've got a new Pontiac. You bought it new. You bought it 4 years ago. And the man says, yes. And he said to him, that's not really a good goal to set, because for 4 years, you've already known how to achieve that. Now, that doesn't mean don't go and get yourself a new Pontiac, but that would not constitute a goal, because a goal, when you set it in the right way, you go in after something that you've never done before. So an A-type goal is a repeat performance. There's absolutely no growth in that. Generally, when people move from A-type goals, they move to what we call a B-type goal. Now, write this down. A B-type goal is what you think you can have. So the person who sets a B-type goal is really, it's essentially a plan. The person won't set the goal unless they see the entire staircase from where they are to get to the goal. So it's more of a plan. And this person's thinking would work in this way or similar. If I get the funding, if I get those investors on board, if I get the right subcontractors in place, if I get the right people to manage the properties and the right staff, if all of these things fall into place, I think I can achieve that goal. And here's the thing with a B-type goal, because it's based in logic, right? Left brain thinkers set really good B-type goals because they think, left brainers, that's a subject on its own. But here's the thing with your goal being based in logic. Often people get started, they get going, they're not inspired, so they quit, because a B-type goal, a logical goal is based in logic. It's based in thinking. And when you going after something really big, when you're going after a goal, something you really want, you've got to get emotionally involved with it. You've got to be inspired. It's got to come from a deep part within you. So what I encouraged Emma to do a couple of years ago is to set a C-type goal. Now, a C-type goal is not what you know you can do, not what you think you're capable of, but what do you really want? Like, how often do you sit with a notepad and a pen and ask yourself, if I could have anything I want, like if I could have anything I wanted, what would I really want? And then allow your pen to, or your imagination to take the pen down any rabbit hole it decides. How often do we do that? Rarely, if ever, right? And here's the thing with a C-type goal, Emma, and you know this. You don't need to know how you're going to achieve it. You just need to know that you will. When it comes to goal achieving, there is a lawful process. And when you know how to take that big C-type goal, that big fantasy, and move it into your subconscious mind, I promise you magical things start happening. People, resources, circumstances start coming into your experience. Has that been your experience with the process, Emma?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, it makes me prickle because there's still some bits that, I have to work on all the time. So, for instance, people are always, when they're talking about, getting into property, and we've grown up with this knowledge, I suppose. We've been told that you have to save up a deposit and that enables you to buy a house. And then if you want to buy another house, well, then you obviously need to save up a deposit again to buy another house. But in the modern world of property investing, there are lots of creative ways, still very legal. And actually, they're often better ways for people to buy and sell. And there are far more benefits, but we don't know about them. But again, like you said, there's a lot of leap of faith. So for a lot of people, it's kind of like, right, let's go and find these properties. They have to have, certain things, you have to have certain strategies. So whether it's a purchase lease option or whether you found a property that's like a commercial property, for instance, that you buy without a lease, or you have some kind of agreement without a lease, you add the lease, and then you can add value to it. But inherently, a lot of this kind of modern professional way of property investing is you are potentially making offers on properties and you don't necessarily have all the money. And we know that money is such a big mindset sort of shift. So for instance, I know, offering on my current property, I was a bit in the B. I kind of knew, I've got bits and pieces here and there. I've got my own money. I've got this. I think it's going to work out. But it's so important, like you said, to actually have this goal. And I love what you said. It's not how you're going to get there. It's just knowing that you will get there. And that's the one thing, well, not the one thing, but one of many things that you've installed in me is when you're in this kind of quagmire and going, I have no idea where this next batch of money's coming from, or where my next, I don't know, my next property is coming from. It's ensuring that you have the faith. I mean, obviously not the faith as in you just sit in a darkened room and hope that a light will shine. That's obviously not what we're saying. You have to, you have to take action. You have to do productive.
Faith without action is dead, right? Faith
Exactly.
without action is, yeah.
But that's been, really key. I see so many people really held back from, they'll often go and view properties, they'll chat to estate agents, they'll do all of that. But when it starts coming to making offers and really actually going with it, that's where they're held back, because it's that they only have potentially the B, but they're then in that C realm of really not knowing the journey and not knowing how to get there. So from your perspective, how do we know, if we're here and our goal's there, how do we get there?
Look, let's think, and I'm going to quote two people who have made history, right? Or three people. Sir Edmund Hillary didn't know how he was going to get to the top of Everest until after he got there. That was a true C-type goal. He went in 51, he failed. 52, he failed again. And we all know in 53, he summited that mountain and it was knighted by Queen Elizabeth. The Wright brothers, two bicycle mechanics in Dayton, Ohio. engineers, universities had spent a ton of money trying to get us into the air. There were two bicycle mechanics that were going to do it. And they didn't know how they were going to get us into the air until after they did it. I think the first flight was 14 seconds or something. And you won't know how you're going to get to your big C-type goal until afterwards. But here's the thing. The same higher mental faculties that those greats that I've just mentioned, that they had, you and I have. It's just that most people are not using it. You know, one of those faculties are your faculty of imagination. This is what the Wright brothers were doing. They were imagining, brother, I see us taking flight. I see us in the air. They were daydreaming. I'm pretty sure there was a big visualization component to what Sir Edmund Hillary was doing. And that's higher faculties that we put to bed. But here's the thing: when you use those higher faculties and you know how to intelligently direct them, and you communicate it with this higher power, right? Whatever your perception of God is, you get guided. Like certain things has happened along my journey that I cannot even explain. I was sharing this with a group last week. You know, there's certain things along my journey in terms of the speaking and the coaching journey that I still can't explain. Even looking back, Emma, I'm like, how did that happen? Like, heck, how did those dots connect? Steve Jobs, who was obviously a great visionary and great inventor, he said you'll never be able to connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, but you have to trust that the dots will connect. Now, when you get your goal into your subjective mind and you get involved in a lawful process, I promise you the way will be shown. There's probably some growth involved there. Emma, you just mentioned fear. Fear is a natural preamble to any great accomplishment. I'm pretty sure Sir Edmund Hillary, there's fear. Emma, when you maybe stepped away from those first couple of serviced accommodation units you had, there was fear. I think you sold that part of the business, there was fear involved. So whenever you move into a new area, I mean, think of it, right? We can even break it down even simpler. When you went on your first date with Jamie, there was fear involved, right? When you maybe played a sport for the first time, or when Rosabella got on that pony for the first time. I know when I stepped on the rugby field for the first time, there was a lot of fear involved. So fear is a part of the process. The thing is, if you're going to achieve anything of significance, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You got to be comfortable with fear. And in the beginning, it's probably not that good. Like you say, Emma, when people get to that point where they've got to put their stake in the ground and make a commitment to this property, they've got they've got it financed, or they know exactly how they're going to get onto it, but they got to commit. Like, people run right back into their comfort zone. Fear is insidious. The paradigm is insidious. And the thing is, you've got to get some mindset mentorship around this, so that firstly, you can identify it when it hits, so that you're able to go through the fear and not sabotage your success. But fear is a natural part of it, Emma.
In fact, that's really funny. We've just come back off holiday and we spent 2 days at a water park. And one of the things that I automatically do, like I don't really like heights, all of those things, but I make myself do them because I feel it's part of something that you do. I'm not as extreme in getting in a cold ice bath each day. That doesn't really excite me. But anyway, so obviously there was the really big slide. So the 2 side slides, they were kind of pretty scary, but fun. And then the middle one was literally the drop. And Rosabella races up there, and she's only 8, goes straight down. My son Oscar, straight down. And of course, I'm there kind of going, yeah, I can do it. And also, I've got to show my family that I don't have, I'm not worried about it. So I was very blasé about it. And then they both suddenly went, Mum, you haven't done the middle one yet, have you? And I just had to really kind of very nonchalant go, yeah, you're right, I haven't done it yet. But it was very much a beagle, because I knew all I had to do was walk up the steps, sit on it, and let go. But goodness, that fear, I had to just be really kind of like, I know everything's going to be all right. I'm just going to take that leap of faith that I am going to land and I'm not going to die and it's all going to be fine. And of course it was fine. But that's what I like about actually having kids, is Rosabella started her school this week, and yesterday morning and all over the weekend, there was lots of worry. Oh, I'm so worried. I'm so worried. And that's what we have, don't we? In business, as you said, I'm so fearful. But what's lovely with children is they're so matter of fact. And I was able to pick out an occasion before. And that's what I do, is kind of pick out, well, when I worried about this before, what actually happened? Because I think there are some statistics, aren't there? Most of the time, we're in fear, we're in worry, and it never happens. Like, it literally never happens. And if something does happen, it's still not that bad. So, but also another thing that I wrote is, in this fear, what I've seen is these things just happen. So you might have lined up, say, an investor. And I had this recently. I had an investor lined up, and for whatever reason, they had some health issues and they've pulled out. So at the time, it was really worrying for me, and a bit kind of like, oh, because obviously I just concentrated on that person. But I'm sort of having to breathe it out here, but I kept very calm about it. And I remember thinking, you know what, I'm sure there's a reason that this is happening. And actually, as it transpires, that person was going to have half of my property and all of that. And now we've worked it out that I actually only need to find an investor a really small amount compared to what I was doing before. And that I'm not worried about. That's something that is quite simple and quite easy to do. It's a great deal. And so sometimes the things, when they do happen, I think they happen due to our fear potentially, but equally it's the way we then deal with them and the results. So I could have gone mad, I could have been and made a big deal out of it, but actually as it transpired, I was able to see, yeah, there's actually a whole load of really great things that are going to come from this.
Maybe that was just the universe giving you a detour to what it is that you really want. Instead of thinking, oh, that is the worst thing, start thinking, things are not happening to you, they are happening for you. Emma, you involved in the lawful process around goal setting, and I'm pretty sure you felt guided at times. And we just got to learn to trust, and that's essentially what faith is, right? It's trusting.
I just want to, sorry to interrupt. Temi has just put, fear is the natural preamble to the next level.
That is spot on, Temi. Fear is part of the process. So get comfortable with it early on. Like, really get comfortable with it. Here's the thing. Fear causes a lot of indecision in your property journey. Fear will stop you from reaching out to those investors. Fear will stop you at that final hurdle, as Emma mentioned earlier. But here's the thing. A bad decision is better than no decision. Now, I'm not saying make bad decisions, but a bad decision is better than no decision, because indecision paralyzes you. You're going to stay stuck. Whereas even if you find a lot of the great leaders, that's one of the key attributes of leadership is quick decision making. You make the decision where you are with the knowledge you have, what you understand, bang, you make a decision. And even if it's a bad decision, or you've got to recalibrate or change your strategy or do things a bit differently, at least like what you've just experienced now with this investor, right, Emma? There was some learning in it. You've readjusted and you're going at it from a different angle, or there's a new deal on the table. But the thing is, a bad decision is better than no decision at all. And I'm not saying, don't gather knowledge, don't understand your strategy, don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying that. But once you've got all of that information, don't let the fear stop you at the final hurdle.
Yeah, and that was a good one from you as well. I know that's a whole nother topic, but making that decision. And in fact, I had a decision I had to make in the last couple of days. And unusually, Lee, because I know what you were like, you tell me, make that decision. I'd kind of been sat on it for a while. And so I literally sat myself down, only took me about 5 minutes. And I was like, come on, what am I going to do? and I just kind of tried to listen to my gut, how I was feeling about it. And yeah, I was like, right, I've made that decision. And actually, it's been a bit of a relief. It feels like a load has been lifted. So yeah, I do love the fact that you say that. So
I
oh,
think, I think, sorry, Emma, I think a key question you've got to ask yourself when making a decision is this moving me towards what I want? Is this moving me towards my big goal? Like your property goal, ask yourself, would making this decision, would this move me in the direction? And if the answer is yes, then you make the decision with the knowledge and the understanding you have at that moment. If it's not moving you in the direction of where you want to go, then say no to it, But I'm not saying the decision's always got to be yes. It can be no as well, but make it quick, make it quick.
fantastic. So this kind of leads me on, actually. Sam's put a really great point here. She said, I'm trying to get into the habit of using the word excitement instead of fear. So I'm excited to attend a new networking event this evening. And that, she says, that really helps me to flip my mindset into a more positive one. So yeah, that's really a kind of an interesting question, isn't it? So, why is it so difficult to to change sometimes? Because what we can do, can't we, it's a bit like a diet, isn't it? We can start off really gung-ho, and it's like, yeah, we've made our offer and we've done this and we're all in, and then you've got a few months of the conveyancing process going on to buy your property, for instance, and then suddenly things really start to fall apart. And I've had that. I've had deals fall out of bed for whatever reason, whether I was in control or not. I always think there's a certain amount of control. So yeah, how can we, why is it so difficult to change our results?
There's a mental program in your subconscious, Emma, that about. I mean, you've studied it at great length as well. And you mentioned that success is 90% mindset. My mentor used to say success is 5% strategy, 95% mindset. Because this subconscious program, this paradigm in your mind, in the deep part of your mind, is controlling 95% of your results, perceptions, and behaviors. I mean, if you live with somebody, you could probably set a clock next to them. They wake up at the same time every day. They fall into a routine, a pattern, whether they grab the TV remote or the coffee mug or the toothbrush. There's kind of a routine and a pattern that they fall into, and God beware your soul if you get in the way of their pattern, right? Now, this pattern gets us up and it takes us all through life. So this pattern is what keeps you comfortable. So the reason you'll have this paradigm talking to you while that deal is on the table or while it's being transferred is because it's an uncomfortable process. It's something new. It's something you maybe it's the first time you're going through this particular strategy, right? Whatever strategy you're using. And the paradigm is talking to you all the time because you got to understand how that thing was formed. It's so strong. It's so insidious. It's from generations of genetic programming. And when you were a little girl or a little boy and you came into the world, your subconscious mind was wide open and ideas were being programmed repeatedly into your subconscious mind. So here you might be 40, 50, 60, and you've always been taught to play it safe. It's rather to be, Emma, it's better to be safe than to be sorry. Like, rather be safe. I mean, how are you ever going to achieve anything if you stay locked into the fear? If you stay in safety, but this is how strong this paradigm is, right, Emma? I mean, you mentioned the money mindset earlier. But if you have, I mean, think of it. You spoke about Rosabella and Oscar being, daredevils. Kids, when they come into this world, they're naturally bold and we think of kids. It's almost like there's no fear, but we program it into them, or it was programmed into us to keep us safe. So it's almost like all these ideas put us in a box. Some of those ideas on your journey to your property goal, towards what it is that you want, some of those ideas you're really going to have to sit with and pick them apart and find out what's serving me and what's not serving me, and then shift it in a way that really helps you to step out and step through the fear. But I think, to simplify your answer, why does that happen as you're going through the process, Emma? It's simply because that mental program, which is so deeply embedded in you, is constantly speaking to you. And that program has gotten you the results you've gotten until this point. If you want new results, if you want to achieve that big C-type goal, you've got to install a new program. You've got to install a new paradigm. That's part of the process. Without that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm writing notes here. So this was a really key pivotal moment for me, because I'd spent, gosh, what was it, over 20 years, Lee, before I met you, you know, reading books, listening. I mean, in my day, I used to drive up and down. I worked for L'Oreal, and I used to drive up to Nottingham and up to Morrison's head office, because I was in the grocery part, and listening to tapes, cassette tapes, and all about kind of mindset. And it was Tony Robbins and all of these things. And I suppose, there was certainly some knowledge there, and some real learnings. And L'Oreal were amazing. They used to invest a lot in our sales training and techniques and things like that. But I would just notice that I was still getting the same results. I mean, the same looking results. So it might be, a different account or a different this, and there would be successes, of course. I feel very fortunate. I've had a lot of amazing successes, but there would be elements that just seem to be the same. And it got more and more frustrating. And I know I've mentioned it before. I even got to the point where I was doing like past life regression. There must be something that I've done in the past, or, I literally would look up to God and say, what have I done wrong? What was so bad that I keep getting the same? And it wasn't until, that I met you and obviously, the Bob Proctor philosophies, that you actually have a system. Because I'm very logical, as we know. I'm just I am a female. I'm emotional, but I'm very logical. It's kind of like problem, solution. There's no time for any of that other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that to me was amazing. It was kind of like, right, I've got a problem, and this is a solution. I can start moving through that.
System.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, obviously, there is more to it, and it's a constant moving part. But that was, really incredible to me. And I suppose that's where, we spoke about this program. So that was this program, and that's where you introduced me into these kind of paradigms. And in fact, who was it who mentioned it earlier? Was it Sam who said she's got into the habit? And that was the big thing for me, this kind of habits that make up the paradigms.
If I can comment on that. So Sam said she's trying to get into the habit of using the word excitement instead of fear. And that is such a great attitude, Sam. Like, really it is, because here's the thing. Any new area you've moved in, we mentioned this earlier, right? Move into any goal that you're going after. If it's big enough, fear and excitement are both emotions you're going to feel. So it's the fear because you're moving into the unknown, that networking event. And it's the excitement because there's the potential to grow your business there. There's the potential to meet investors and get lined up with some people that can really connect you to what it is that you want. So fear and excitement should both be part of it, the emotions that you experience. But if you're choosing to reframe it and just say, I'm excited, that's really a good attitude, because you have a choice what to focus on. So you focus in, I'd say, on the positive emotion there.
And in fact, even just those actions, isn't it? So I was just looking at my page. So one of the things that I learned quite early on is that when you look up, it's really hard to cry. Yes, it's really one of those things. It's really hard. And in fact, there was a lady, I was at a conference yesterday, and she said, and I love these kind of things. She said, if you are, feeling a bit, as we can do at certain times of the day, can't we?
Yeah.
She said you need to look up, and then if you say something 3 times, it really gives it some emphasis. She said you need to say yes, yes, yes 3 times and smile. And it was hilarious. So the whole room, I don't know how many, there was, a few hundred people, all kind of looked up and they all went, yes, 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 and smiled. And even now doing that, it kind of brings that something out. So we can change things. So it is the case that was another thing that we can, you can walk into your estate agent kind of like this, or you can just walk in with your shoulders back and high and be really confident. And that's the one thing I talk a lot about to my mentees is act now how you think you would act when you've achieved your goals. How would a successful,
when you're that successful investor, that successfully property owner. Just sorry, Emma, sorry to break your word. There's a strategy on that I want to share. A study was done on this. I don't know the exact numbers, but they took a couple of individuals who were doing interviews, and a bulk of them they sent straight into the interview, and a portion of them they got them to go into the bathroom or the restroom before the interview, and just got them to open up their body language. So like to pose like Wonder Woman or Superman, like really open up your body language wide and do that for 2 minutes and hold that power pose for 2 minutes. Those individuals who done that were far more successful statistically. So maybe a good strategy for you is before you walk into that estate agent's office, before you walk into that investor meeting, maybe you go and find a restroom and just for 2 minutes, open your body language, like really feel like the powerful and magnificent person that you are, because that is the truth. And that's not up in the pie or up in the sky type of stuff. It's pie in the sky stuff. You really have something marvelous about you. You've got these great mental faculties that separate us from the rest of the animal kingdom. Your essence, I believe your essence is spiritual, and our spiritual DNA is perfect. So there's something so powerful about you, but the paradigm literally quiets that, or it puts a lid on your potential. It puts a lid on what's really happening deep inside of you. The thing is, doing those little exercises, the one I've just mentioned, just allows you to step more out into who you truly are. So that's, I found that to be a really great strategy. Like when you go into that restroom, calm yourself, maybe focus on your breathing, open up your body language, so move yourself into a very calm, confident state, and then go into that estate agent's office and see if your results don't start improving.
I love that. I love that. And I love also for me, other things that really help me when I need to kind of, because I'm quite an energy person, is and I know that I have to really work on bringing the emotion into things. So I love, a piece of music. So you'll have some kind of pop music and you put it on and you and it's one of those that you really kind of dance around the room and and it switches off and you suddenly feel this, you feel so powerful. You've got this energy surging through you. And I really like doing that because that gives me the emotions as well. I get those kind of real strong kind of emotion of, excitement. And, it makes me feel like I can, conquer the world. And that's why, exactly why when you go to big events, they play these music, don't they? They play these kind of inspirational music to really help you bring those emotions to the forefront. So yeah, I love that. I'm just about to go and ask Alexa to play me a good tune.
and here's the thing, right? When you step into that estate agent's office, they feel your energy. If you're downtrodden, if you doubting yourself, if you walking in there with lack of confidence, they might not be able to articulate what they're feeling, but we feel it. Like, Emma, when you've stepped into someone's presence who is confident, who is assertive, and it might not even be in what they verbalize, but you can feel it in their energy. So, a key component of you improving your results in your property journey is when you step into that networking event or into that office of that individual who you're hoping to work with, you've got to feel confident. You've got to feel like you've got value to add and value to bring. You've got to believe in yourself, because people feel that before you even speak. And my mentor used to say, we can hide a lot of things, but that's the one thing you can't hide. Like, you can't hide your energy. You cannot. People feel it. There's a saying that just they feel you before you even a word comes out of your mouth. It's and that's also it's using a higher mental faculty. So you've got this mental faculty that's called intuition. And each one of us, right, Emma, we're energetic beings, and our thoughts, emotions affects the density and the quality of this energy that's coming off our physical body. And when you step into that meeting room, or when you step into that networking event, these 80 other people, through their higher mental faculty of intuition, they can kind of sense what's happening with you, even if they're not able to articulate it or explain it. But we all kind of get that feeling, like someone might be speaking to you, but you feel, this person's being fake, or they um they don't mean what they say. You get that feeling, or you can sense. Sometimes you can just sense, this person doesn't really like me, or they didn't like what I said. You can sense it. and
And that could be halfway through a conversation as well, can't it? And that's
and like,
really weird.
boom.
Suddenly
Yeah,
it's kind of like almost like a freezer kind of crops up. But I think with that also, that's really key to understand, and something that was a bit of a light bulb moment is that you can still achieve stuff. If you haven't got the right energy or whatever, you still have successes and you're still going to do things, but it's just a harder slog. It's just much more difficult.
struggle.
And that's
Yeah,
what I see is when you get it right. And God, I'm not getting it right all the time at all, but I'm constantly working to get better, to improve. And when you do get it right, it's so easy, because you'll see those people, won't you? And everyone goes, oh, look how easy it is for them. They just seem to look at something and they've bought 15 properties. But
everything they touch turns to gold.
yeah, but obviously there's a huge amount of work and effort behind that. But equally, you'll see them in a room, they'll talk to people, and people are gravitating towards them, and the right people are gravitating towards
And
them.
what is causing that? What is causing that, Emma?
Their energy, and
Exactly.
and so that I think is, when you want to make this journey easier or quicker or more enjoyable, actually, it's understanding those levels of energy. And I think it's incredibly powerful.
Here's the thing. I mean, what you're talking about here, becoming an energetic match for what it is that you want. That's where I believe success becomes effortless. We've been programmed, so part of the paradigm is we believe that we got to grind, or we've got to struggle to get what it is that we want. Now, I'm not saying hard work is not part of it. I mean, we obviously got to move into action, like you said at the start of the call, Emma. But the thing is, it can be effortless. I mean, I've had moments where it's almost like things would just come in and it's just easy. And, you just speak to someone and boom, 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 person says yes. And, but what's happened in that moment, you become an energetic match for what you want. It doesn't need to be a struggle. That's part of your paradigm. Like, what if it was really easy to achieve your property goal? Like, what if it was so easy? Like, wouldn't that be a better idea for you to accept than to accept this idea of struggle, or you've got to convince this person? And like, and I mean, Emma, we've spoken about this. I know we get into the end of this, but I've tested this. Like, I reach out to people and I invite them to certain events that we do, or to have a conversation. And I'd have a script where I'd say a script that I'd send them to invite them to a particular event. And most of the time when you reach out to these investors, your train of thought is probably, they're going to ignore me, or they're going to think I'm being a nuisance, or, it's always this internal thing, this doubt, right? And I've tested this when I started sending messages along those lines, and my train of thought, so internally, what I was getting mentally and emotionally involved with, I'd say something like, Emma Howard is really happy to hear from me. And she engages. She's come over to our event next week, and it has really accelerated her results. It's improved her life, and she's so grateful that she's come. And I've literally tested this with that second approach, just mentally, what's happening here with me, not out simply. 70-80% of the people respond instead of 10 or 20%. So, it even works besides the networking event. Just type in a message, dropping someone a message on LinkedIn. Make sure you're in a good energy when you do that, because people feel it, people sense it even through the words. I don't even know how to explain that, but I know it to be true.
I love that. I love that. So just coming into this and going back to this, the mind set. So within this kind of paradigm thing, can you just explain a little bit more about how, what we can change, as far as, I know you talk about your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and where we need to work on that with regards to our results.
So there's obviously a lot of different components to your paradigm. Key component is your self-image. That's how you see yourself. Like we mentioned earlier, in order to get new results or better results, we've got to upgrade the way we see ourselves. Like, you've got to see yourself as that successful property investor. Emma mentioned acting like that person now, because the thing is, you can't you can't outperform your self-image. You can upgrade it, but you can't outperform it. So the thing is, that's the internal mechanism that's constantly talking to you. So you make those bold first few steps, you step out, but then this thing is talking to you. This is not going to work. Remember what you done last year. Remember that failed project. This is not you. Who do you think you are? All that nonsense. So you've got to upgrade your self-image. That's how you see yourself. It's your internal attitude towards self. And then the other two components of your paradigm. And paradigm, if you look at the dictionary definition, Emma, it's simply a pattern. The other two components is your habits, your habitual way of showing up, and the belief system. I think we all know, right? Before you achieve anything of great significance, you got to believe first, right? Belief is really the key. In fact, and I'm probably paraphrase this, Napoleon Hill, one of the greatest success teachers of all time, he said that it cannot be a mere hope or wish. Hope or wish is it's a conscious mind thing. You've got to believe in your subconscious mind that what you're going after is possible. And that's why you've got to upgrade those beliefs. And when we talk beliefs, we're talking money beliefs, your money mindset. We're talking maybe beliefs around selling. So maybe you've got a belief program in selling is sleazy. Maybe when you were growing up, whenever the Amway person phoned, or the Kirby person phoned, or the MC pot, your mom told you, hey, tell that person I'm not here. And you've got all these negative concepts and ideas programmed into you around selling. And we've got to upgrade those ideas. Beliefs around what's possible, beliefs around the economy, beliefs around what you're capable of achieving. There's so much internal work that we have to do. Now, with the right guidance, it can happen over a very short period of time, but there's so much internal stuff that needs to shift on that journey. And that was very long-winded, Emma, but we can talk about paradigm for hours. It's
and that kind of comes back round, though, doesn't it, when you talk about, so obviously the paradigm, you've got your self-image, so that's that's really huge, and that's something that I've worked hugely on, to I behave differently, I think about myself differently. There are obviously times when I'm not kind to myself in the way I think about myself, but I'm aware of it, and then I go back and look to amend that. And then you've talked about habits. I mean, that's a huge one, and I hadn't realized quite the enormity of that. So, doing things well, finishing things off. Rosabella this morning, come and make your bed. It's trying to, a lot of those repetitive base habits can really help you grow into, like Sam talked about, getting up there and being excited to go to a networking event. That's actually a habit. You can make it into that thing. But going back to the belief system, well, that goes back to your C goal, doesn't it? It's not knowing how, but just having that inner belief that you just will achieve that. You just will get there, even though you have no idea, basically, potentially how that's going to happen.
So you got to believe it's going to happen. But, there's my mentor, Bob, he had been studying mindset, human potential, and success for 61 years at the time of his passing. And in all of that research, and you've probably heard this, Emma, he said that he's never seen somebody step out and achieve a high level of success by themselves. They've all had mentors. And go and study, someone you might be admiring right now in terms of their success. And you'll probably find that they've had mentors. I mean, if you think of the great football teams in the UK, right? If you're talking about Manchester City or Liverpool, those players, they have a mindset coach. They've got skills coach. They've got a head coach. They've got a manager. They've got all these different coaches. But the coach's role is to point out their blind spots and direct them towards a specific end or to get better. And the thing is, how are you going to get from where you are now to this big property goal, this C-type goal? The only thing in your way is this paradigm, and you've got to upgrade the paradigm so it's in harmony with what it is that you want. And when your habits are aligned with what you want, when your belief system is and your self-image is of that person who's already accomplished that, that's when it really becomes easy, and that's when you get what it is that you want.
Yeah, you are so right. So what kind of advice would you give then? So I suppose you just kind of get it to get from that path that would enable us to change our results. There's just so much, isn't there, basically? Where would you start?
Find a mentor who's demonstrated by results that they know what they're talking about, and get mentorship. Get somebody who's walked the path before. Don't reinvent the wheel. Like, all the information, the knowledge is there. I mean, you can go into your local library and all the knowledge is there. But the thing is, you could spend years, decades trying to decipher this thing. Just find somebody who's proven by results, they know what they're talking about, and then get them to mentor you and follow the instruction to the letter. And that's how you really speed things up. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And that's one of the sports that we do. It's a really small sport, polo cross. So it's amazing. Whenever you go, you are watching and being instructed by the best in the world. And that's incredible. You don't go to the local football pitch on a Sunday and have David Beckham teaching you. So yeah, that's really quite powerful. It's always to look at people who have achieved things and who are potentially living the life that you want to lead. That's really powerful. Okay, Lee, fantastic. So I know that you do other sort of webinars to help people. Of course, you mentor people fantastically, as I've experienced. Where can they come and find you outside of our webinars?
Okay, so next week I'm actually running a webinar called How to Clear the Blocks to Your Abundance. And we really go deep with this concept of paradigm. I show you how it works. I give you a model of the mind. We share some stories around it. It's really a powerful, it's a webinar that I think the one I'm most proud of in terms of impact or the difference it makes for you, because it really puts this all in context in terms of how it works. And that's happening next Thursday. I think it's the 19th of September at 10 a.m. UK or 11 a.m. South Africa time. And yeah, maybe if I may, Emma, there's three concepts that we're going to be covering. So, firstly, what the root cause of your current results are, whether that's the business results, income, health, relationships, and how to change it. Secondly, I'm going to give you a strategy to turn your annual income into a monthly income. And thirdly, you're going to be taught on the three different strategies to earn money and which is the best way. So it's really a maybe I should just cover that or go over that again. Firstly, the root cause of your current results, how to change it. Secondly, the three different income earning strategies and which is the best one for you to use. And then I'm going to give you a strategy to turn your annual income into a monthly income. And like I said, it's really a powerful webinar. And if you can make it, if you can join us, I think it will be a worthwhile investment of your time. Emma, what we'll do, obviously, we'll drop the link wherever we're streaming this on Instagram or LinkedIn, Facebook. We'll drop the link in the comments section just so that it's easy for you to click on and register.
Yeah, definitely. I think Micah's going around now, putting that link in for everyone. And yeah, I mean, turning an annual income into a monthly income, that really is a C-type goal. I mean, for most of us, that would be, unfathomable. But I've certainly seen it. And it is, yeah, quite an amazing achievement to do. But of course, once you've done that, then that monthly, yearly income, then you can do it again and again and grow and grow and grow. And it's, extremely, extremely powerful. So amazing. Well, Lee, as always, thank you so much. You're such an inspiration and have helped so many people really change who they are and how they live their lives. And that's been the biggest one for me, is that to be able to enjoy your life. I used to spend so much time worrying about things. And now I really work very hard on actually enjoying the now, what we're doing right now, and making the most of that. So really, really thank you for that. I will let Lee have a closing statement, but just to, in fact, Joy, you know Joy very well as well, Lee. You've worked with Joy too and helped her hugely. She is on next week. She is the auction queen. So if you are interested in anything to do with auctions, please do join us next week at noon on Monday, where we'll be talking all things auctions. That's going to be really tremendous. So Lee, back over to you, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a few closing words.
Just remember that the only thing that's getting in between or stopping you from getting from where you are to where you want to go is your paradigm. Really, you've got to upgrade your mindset. You've got to get a proven system, a system that shows you how to upgrade your mindset and go to work at it. That's the only thing stopping you. It's not the outside conditions, the circumstances, whatever's happening outside. It's what's happening inside. I'll maybe just end with this, Emma. I wasn't really, this is just coming, success is 5% strategy. Don't get hung up on the strategy. You've got to understand the strategy. It's very important, but it's 5% strategy, 95% mindset. And I'll prove that quickly, or I'll quantify it. Two people work in the same marketplace, selling the same product, working for the same sales manager, serving the same demographic. One's absolutely killing it, and the other one's struggling to get by. What's the difference? It's mindset. So upgrade your mindset.
Amazing. And final words from Collar, who said, great session, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you to Lee, and thank you to everyone who's joined us and contributed.